I barely survived the podcast.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it today, guys. I don't know. Welcome back to Turn Up the Heat, the show where we lock the best and the brightest and the hottest sauna of their entire lives and grill them with questions till one of us taps out or passes out. I'm your host, Derek Eby, and I am so excited for my guest today. This is my best bud, Dustin McKibben. He is the owner of Art Home Photo and Dustin and Corinne Photography for weddings. He is basically the master of having a camera in your hand and making things look really pretty, whether it's real estate, whether it's people, whether it's weddings. So happy to have you, man.
Happy to be here.
Gosh, this is so funny because this is shoot number 2 for this podcast. I tortured Dustin in here last time. I tortured him. Left him on the floor lying afterwards, trying not to die, and all the footage got corrupted. So we are here again, round 2, hopefully just as bad.
That's how hot this is. The memory card melted.
It's not fun for people in here. I say it all the time. I'm not here to make them happy. But obviously, business is going good for you. Business is scaling. So many of the questions I want to ask a little bit, but I'm going to twist them up a little bit because even I want to learn a little bit more this time. So, obviously, where did the photography education come from?
Yeah, so I started in high school just like every entrepreneurial, creative kid wanting to make fake IDs. Mm-hmm. And I realized that's highly illegal and more complicated than it looks. I'm old enough where Photoshop was just invented when I was in high school.
So old.
I know, I'm ancient. And so then from there, I decided I didn't want to sit at a desk all day, every day. I wanted to do something fun. Photography seemed fun, and looked for schools that both my parents would agree on, and settled on a little school in New York called RAT, which is the only school in the world that offers photographic engineering.
Sick.
And dropped out the first week. Yeah, so went up there, signed up, and quickly realized when they came to me and they're like, hey Dustin, like you need to take your calc placement test. And I'm like, okay, cool. Why doesn't anyone else have to do that? And they're like, well, they're all in other things like advertising or fine art, journalism. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, can I switch to one of those? Because I don't want to take calc if I don't have to. Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay, sure. Little did I know, fast forward, I didn't, young and dumb, I didn't realize, like, again, only school in the world that offers this. Yeah. Only 10 people get in every year.
Really niche offer.
Very niche opportunity that I was just throwing away because I didn't want to take a math class.
That's fair.
So then, but what it did was it really pushed me post-grad to be successful and prove not only to myself but my parents that without having that engineering degree that I could make something of myself.
Did you switch to another program, or did you drop all the way out of college when you couldn't do the engineering situation?
So I just switched programs. So it was like engineering was like its own side of the photography realm, and then they had advertising, fine art, and journalism that was like this other track. Mm-hmm. And so it was like freshman year was all very similar classes minus calculus.
Yes.
And so then I was like, oh, I'll just switch over here, and then I won't have to take calculus, and it'll be all the same people, all the same classes. And then from there it really changes directions, which I loved learning about advertising. It got me to minor in psychology, printmaking, and just all these fun things that I'd never even knew about.
I love it.
Stayed in Fort Wayne.
I guess the question I didn't ask last time you were here that I think is so interesting for people is, what was the first house you took pictures of? Do you remember?
First house.
The first piece of real estate that became, Dustin Corinne became Art Home Photo. What was the first thing that made you go, we should take real estate photography, and you took the pictures of a house? So it was actually prior to even Art Home. Like I was living in New York still, and I discovered that there's like, in the US alone, there's like unique architecture above and beyond just brick and mortar homes. Mm-hmm. And we had this crazy house in New York that looked like a big mushroom. It looked like something out of Star Wars. That's
like
awesome.
It was on stilts, up in the woods, crazy. And I'd taken pictures of that, and that led me to find a passion in architecture. Mm-hmm. And I started pursuing architectural photography more as a hobby. Like when you go on vacation, you're like, wow, the lobby of this hotel is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, I'm so old, it's before Instagram. It's like you weren't just like documenting your vacations.
You kept these to yourself.
Correct. And so, but then like you got to pay the bills and the way the world works, and my wife and I fell into weddings and we fell hard. And so we were doing weddings, and then I always really did a good job of documenting the churches and the reception areas that these weddings were taking place. And a real estate agent happened to be the mother of one of our brides and reached out, and she's like, I love the way you intentionally captured the church of my daughter's wedding. Like, we go to church there. I actually gave that photo to the church to use on their website, if that's okay. And I was like,
yeah,
that's fine. And I was curious, do you ever do real estate? And I was like, well, I mean, I did it in college, more just for fun than anything else. But, you know, I can do it if you're interested. And at the time, too, drones were just being invented, just becoming a thing. I had one. It's back when you actually like hooked a GoPro to the drone and you had no idea what you were capturing.
That's great.
Yeah, so then I shot her house. I'm assuming it was one downtown because she does a lot of homes downtown. And
she was super happy with it.
She was super happy, and then it just kind of slow dominoes from there. Like, someone saw those, and they were like, hey, who did your pictures? And then next thing I know, last year we did like 4,000 houses.
That's crazy. I love that. I love 4,000 houses. And I think the weddings photography is something we didn't talk about last time, which I think is worth noting, because one, I just love weddings. I just love what I always have.
Love.
I love love. When I see brides walking down the aisle, I'm always like, and I love dancing. I love
Derek loves to cry.
I like to cry and drink some alcohol. It all comes into one unanimous night. But the one thing I've seen from you with your wedding photography, which I just have to give it to you for, which not all photographers are this way. A lot of photographers are structured. A lot of photographers are like, okay, I know we need this shot, and 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 I'm sure you do that still. But the one thing I've seen, because I've actually taken trips with Dustin where he had to go do a big wedding somewhere, and he wanted to be so prepared, he wanted to get there early. He wanted to make sure he had everything he needed. So he's like, hey, boys, let's just go out there early and have a little trip. That way I can make sure I'm there ahead of time, and I have everything I need. And then the amount of effort that day that was put into, like, the surprise photos and the extra photos and, like, these things that are neat in the background, I almost feel like that's what you enjoy more than the actual wedding photography. I have to assume is the excitement of, like, how can we make this fun? How can we make these different than any other photo? Where do you think that came from? And, like, and if you had to dive into that, like, what are your favorite things to do like that?
Well, my intro into weddings is a little different than most, because most people get into wedding photography because they were in photography.
Yes.
Whereas for me, I actually was a wedding DJ.
That's awesome.
And so a buddy had bought a bunch of equipment. We were, again, more entrepreneurial than we were creative.
Yeah.
And we realized that, like, how much schools were paying for proms, we're paying for dances, we're paying for, like, all the stuff that, you know, DJs got to come in and do. And we're like, man, you know, I bet we could rig up some speakers from our buddies' cars and hook up, you know, bring in our Dell desktop computer, because, again, laptops weren't a thing yet, and we could, you know, do this. And so we did. And then that kind of led to weddings. And I was like, man, we should start marketing our wedding business. People, like, need this. And so I got a job at Sears so I could get an employee discount on a camera and hustle my way into taking pictures so I could post them on MySpace and show off our wedding, you know, stuff, because no one was really advertising their DJ business back then. You know, again, this is before cell phones with cameras.
Yes.
And that quickly, like, spawned into brides reaching out to us. I'm like, oh my God, like, I love the photos you took at our wedding reception. Or if, like, we DJ'd like, if we came and provided speakers for the outdoor ceremony, I would snap some photos. Like, is there any way we can, like, get those?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, of course.
That's great.
And then, yeah, it just sort of spiraled into, like, I was so comfortable being in front of people and around people at weddings through DJing.
And having fun and being excited.
Correct. And what, like, for example, oh my gosh, it's hot. I met with a couple this weekend, and what I tell them, and this is going to sound a little bit like a sales pitch, but
yeah,
I 100% believe this, is the photos you get from your wedding are a direct reflection on your memories of your day. Let me say that again. The photos you get at your wedding are a direct reflection on the memories you have from that day. So what that means is the photos I'm creating are not your memories. They are a reflection of those memories. So if you don't remember your wedding day well, like if you did not have a good experience on your wedding day, you're gonna look at those photos and not remember that day well. Like like if you were beaten as a child and you see photos of your dad or whatever, and you're like, man, I fucking hate him.
Yeah.
Like those photos are not going to automatically change your perception of reality.
Just because they're awesome photos.
Correct.
Exactly.
Just because he's pushing you on a swing or something.
So we need to make sure that they both have an incredible wedding and get incredible photos.
Correct. So that's what I tell people is like my job on the wedding day, aside from taking amazing photographs, which that's a given, like I'm going to do that regardless, is my job is to make sure I can be the player on the team that's blocking all of those heartaches, headaches, those little inconveniences before they even get to you.
Yeah.
Almost like a wedding planner. And I think that's part of being a photographer in Fort Wayne, Indiana, is that we don't have a tremendous amount of wedding planners. We do have one now who's amazing. Shout out to Bella and Fern, great wedding planner, event planner. But before her, there was nobody. And so we had to act as that.
Yeah.
And then that sort of is what led to a expectation of excellence that our brides came to expect, so that when we would see other people at weddings and like, bridal parties or whatnot, they'd be like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea. Like my photographer just stood in the corners and took pictures. Like I didn't know that like there was a difference in what you did and what a normal person did. And I was like, I know.
The fun and the excitement. One of the things I see you do, because I've actually done a ton of photos with Dustin. He's been a big part in the photography of Hercules over the years. And the one thing I always say is a good photographer makes me look better on camera because they make me smile and they make me happy. And like I'm personally not a very photogenic person. I'm smiling, I'm happy, but like I get a weird like closed lip smile when I'm trying to look good and professional.
Prostate.
Exactly. Like, Dustin's really good at making it fun and finding the cool angles. And the coolest part about shooting with you is a lot of it will feel simple, and then I see the photos afterwards and I'm like, whoa, you thought of this in a way I did not. Like we just recently took one of your photos where I'm leaning on the wall at Electric Works with this cool view in the background, and we cut it and we put it on our website and we put it on my business card where it looks like I'm leaning on like my text on the business card, and it's like something I could never have done if we didn't shoot that shot that way. And I think that is a really dynamic thing. Back to like the wedding stuff though, because I almost have to harp on this because I love it. One of the things you do just to keep advertising for Dustin, just give this guy all of your money, please give it to him so he can take me on more trips. But he also does like proposal photos, and that was one of the fun ones we went on that trip. Was you literally had to plan like, where am I going to hide in the woods, and how am I going to make sure they don't see my car, and like how do I get positioned right and get the lighting right without them literally knowing I exist? How do I capture this moment in this beautiful way and then pop out, surprise, also you have photos and I'm going to take more pictures of you. So like not proposal pictures 2 weeks later, proposal pictures while she still has like running mascara and she's like so overjoyed and smiling and like they're kissing. Like, I mean, I love that.
Really, that just comes down to the groom and like him having the preconceived notion of like searching someone out to do it. Like, shout out to Trevor Day. He's one of the incredible real estate agents we work for. It was his proposal in Hocking Hills, and he called us and he was like, this is kind of what I want to do. Do you know anyone in Hocking Hills? And I was like, I know, I have a car that can get to Hocking Hills. So it's like, period, over, let's go. And so we did it, and it was incredible. And I love those moments. We just did one yesterday at Dakota's new wedding venue.
That's awesome.
They had the bride pretending like she was touring the wedding venue, and then he was hiding upstairs and came up the stairs, had a "Will you marry me" sign all lit up, and we shot the video of that. But
that's the thing there that I love is that, like you said about the wedding, it's like you have a good memory, you want to capture it, but it's like, already for my example, I remember my wedding, very much so, I think so. But then I'll go look at photos and I'm like, whoa, I completely forgot this part. I forgot this part. And I think
it goes so quick.
Like my proposal, I have a Polaroid of. That's what I got. I got a Polaroid picture taken. But once again, I don't have the reaction. I don't have the after. I think there's something so beautiful in capturing moments. It's one of the things I love about photography is that like you really can, if done correctly, not only capture a moment, but capture the feeling and the emotion that that person was feeling when they did that. How has that translated into real estate? Like, because you started with wedding photography, you started fun guy, you started that. So obviously we want to capture the emotions of a person and the joy. How do you capture the emotions of a home? How do you capture the feeling that this home feels homey, or for children, or exciting, or it's going to be a fun place to be? How do you do that?
Well, I think what set us apart at the onset was not only again, we take great pictures of the home, but we just genuinely cared about the people who owned the home.
Yes.
So we took a moment to understand, like, why are you moving? Where are you going? What does this home mean to you? What are some stories that this home brought out in your life? And with that being said, it was kind of like realizing that a home is so much more than just walls and windows.
Yes.
So we just started giving a shit. And then realtors were like, oh my gosh, like, these people care.
Yes.
And then that sort of leapfrogged us because, holy crap, I'm getting hot. Yeah.
It is really freaking hot in here.
Oh.
No joke. I think, like I said, I say this on every episode, but everyone imagines how hot the sauna is watching. And it's just like the wings on the wing show. You know, you're like, I'm pretty good with spice. I'm going to eat these. And then you get like
see the puddle that we're creating down here.
It is hot in here. I'm trying to kill Dustin. I'm not here to make a podcast. We just happen to get a podcast out of my murder. I love that. I love it. So obviously, again, I feel that because my home we're in right now, I love this place. Like, this is like, even though it's not that big, even though this is my home.
Right.
You know, I proposed to my wife here. This is actually the house my wife lived in when I first started dating her.
This is the house you're going to bring your firstborn child home to.
Exactly. Everything is in this beautiful, beautiful house. And it's like, but sincerely, all of that. Seriously, it's like, the funny time that I fell is in the kitchen. You know, that hilarious party we had where everyone got a little too drunk and we were laughing for 4 hours was in the other room. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have like a real tangible, almost like imprint on a house. And it's nice that you can go about finding that and kind of trying to lure that through your content that you put out.
Yeah.
I said, because if I'm going to buy a house and you tell me stories like that, I'm going to naturally be like, oh, I could do that here. Look at that fun. I could have fun here. But the real kicker of you that is like my sweetest spot of what I love Art Home Photo does is the video marketing. There's no question. Your video marketing is off the charts. Last year, just to brag for Dustin, I'm going to say this all wrong. Dustin won Indiana Video of the Year. Video Advertisement of the Year. He won like marketing.
The realtor won the award. We just happened to be the amazing talent behind the scenes.
Exactly. Jordan Wildman, one of our close friends, he won the award with the content and the creation of Dustin here, and many other feasible awards and many other things like this coming around. I mean, it's clear that you guys are making these realtors hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is so cool. Like, isn't it great when your business allows you to make people more money than they pay you?
Yeah, that's the goal. Is like, we didn't set out to make a company that like stole from other people. Like, we wanted to be a service-based industry that made you more money than you gave us.
Yes.
And if we're not doing that, then like we need to go back to the drawing board. But the idea behind real estate marketing is setting yourself apart from your competition. And if you're not doing that because the Fort Wayne market uses us so much, then you come to us and we figure out a way to even push the envelope further.
Yeah.
That's what we're currently doing with like these vertical, high impact videos that are perfect for Instagram, perfect for TikTok.
Which is where everybody is now.
Correct.
Everybody's
I think that's going to be 2025 is going to be the year of the vertical video.
Yeah, and I think I have two parts here. I want to make sure I hit them both. So before I go to the second part, you right now just posted the other day, you're looking for actors and actresses because once again, like, you're always stepping the game up. You really want high quality people to be able to be in these videos. So if you're someone out there, actor, actress, beautiful person, happy person, you want to be in Dustin's content, you should reach out to him.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that you hit the nail on, I think you taught me this, and it's such a funny fact that most people don't know, is that those real estate signs you see on the road, this seems obvious in the other direction. You think, well, those are there to sell the house. We put a big sign with a big fancy face in front of this house to sell the house. No way, Jose. That's not what they're there for. Nobody is buying the house because of that sign. That sign is simply an advertisement for that real estate agent so that other people see him selling a house and inevitably ask him to do this. And your videos are that on steroids.
They're digital signs.
It's like because here's the thing, most people are probably not watching Jordan's Barbie video and buying the house. That's not the point. And that's like what for real estate agents to understand when they work with Dustin. That's not the point. If it happens, beautiful. Let's let that happen too. But like, if you have a house, like, well, this doesn't feel like one I should shoot a video of because I could already sell it. That's not the freaking point.
Right.
These videos are so people in the community know you sell real estate, love your energy, and actually just want to interact with you. Because if people watch Jordan's videos, they want to be his friend.
Right.
They don't even care about doing real estate with him. They just want to spend time with him. So how do you guys base that? Like, obviously humor is a great thing to do in like the real estate real estate photography, video marketing, all the stuff you do. Do you find you really have to balance that or match it to the personality of the character?
Match it to the personality of the agent, because at the end of the day, we want them to be authentically them.
Yes.
So if like they're serious, high-class luxury, we're gonna lean into that. If they're Jordan Wildman, funny, crazy, you never know what you're gonna expect, we lean into that. And then we just try to like stretch and emphasize those characteristics so that when someone's making the decision down the road, who I'm gonna work with, who I'm gonna buy and sell with, they're like, I got a good idea of what that person's character was like in the video. I'm calling them.
You even feel more comfortable calling them now too, because it's like when you call a stranger, it's like they could be any which way they could end up being. But when you watch a video of Jordan, now I call him, I almost feel like I know him.
Oh, I mean, I had an agent just last week that told me she does videos on every house, and she had somebody come through one of their houses that she had listed. They ended up not being able to buy it, but then months later called her up, fired their agent, went with her because of the video that she had made.
That's great.
Because they felt that they knew her better and could work more seamlessly with her based on the professionalism she put forth in her marketing than the agent that they were currently working with.
Marketing really is like everything. I think that's one of the things, like lead gen is the number one thing in the business. Like whether you're selling a product, whether you're selling a service, no matter what, lead gen is number freaking one. If you don't have leads, if you don't have referrals, if you don't have people to sell to, you don't have a business. But how do you create lead gen is where people get really lost. There's a lot of people who are going in 80 different directions, but the one thing that I think beats everything else, though it's slower and it takes time, is brand awareness. If you have a broken pipe and you immediately know which plumber by name because of all the marketing you've seen you're going to call, that plumber is going to win a lot. And in that same case,
sheerly out of volume.
Yeah, sheerly out of volume. And like for you, it's kind of that same thing with these real estate guys. Running your business is another big question, and obviously, it's really hot in here. It's always hot. I'm in here every day and I just have to act tough. But the big thing with these real estate guys is that let's get really close. I like this. We're getting really comfortable. I just gave you all of the sickness and disease I have.
I love it.
We're going to be together forever. We
shirt is transparent.
Our home photo is a monster in a good way. I mean, it is like, there's so many photographers in the area that went to college photography. They're good at photography. I love those people. That's great. I actually just love photographers. I think it's a beautiful thing to do. But they're not making, 50K a year. They're not making, 100K a year, and then you have a company that's $1 million plus coming up on maybe in the next year or two being a 5, maybe even at some point soon 8-figure business, and clearly that's not random. And that's where we get back to business structure, like what's happening in-house, what's happening behind closed doors, what is making employees want to work for Art Home Photo, and what's building that connection. So what do you think are the most important things you've learned that you could educate people on of being a boss? Like the biggest mistakes you made that you don't need to necessarily dive into, but what was the lesson that came from that thing?
Wow, yeah, lesson I've learned recently is just doing a better job of connecting with my employees on a deeper level. So for example, we do a weekly contest where guys can make a video. Whoever gets the most views on their video, they win a gift card.
That's awesome.
And I found, I was doing restaurant gift cards, because I'm like, everyone's got to eat. And one of the guys the other day was like, man, it'd be really great if the gifts were a little more personalized. And so I asked him what does that mean to you? He was like, well, I love movies and buying physical DVDs, and so a Best Buy or a Barnes & Noble gift card would mean more to me. And I'm
sure.
Perfect.
That's great.
It doesn't change anything on our end, but it gives us the insight to really know how we can incentivize them deeper to help them really reach their creative, potential. Because with these videos, it's not like we need the content to promote us. It's more that I want them to have fun, and I want them to push themselves creatively, so that when they have a project that requires creativity, they're like, I've done a video every week for the last 6 months.
I'm going to throw this cool thing I did in the Dustin video last week that clearly got more views. I love that. I love that. I hear that completely. Because I think the one thing in business that maybe you struggle with, maybe you didn't, I did struggle with a lot, is that I built a business on Derek's back. I did all the work. I was the business, the service, the everything at first. And as I brought people in, there was some expectation that they would just be me. They would be a different version of me. And then quickly you understand, not only am I just a fucking really different person, but secondarily, everybody's different. Their motives are different. What motivates them is different. The things that make them happy at a workplace are even different. So for me, it's like, tell me what to do, pay me good money, and I'm good. Like if I was going to be a W-2 employee or work somewhere. For a lot of people, that's not the case. It's not pay-oriented. It's not necessarily rule or structure-oriented. It's creativity-oriented, or it's fun-oriented, or it's appreciation-oriented. How much do I feel appreciated being here? And finding that balance between how do I be the right person for all of these employees is very difficult.
Right. Yeah, I would say too, personality tests are huge. You and I talked about this last time, but something we never implemented that we just started implementing this year. We actually, for this new person we just hired that starts this week, we actually went through a staffing agency because I'm like, I just don't have the bandwidth. Like I can make our company more money working in the company than I can out there interviewing, looking at LinkedIn resumes, Indeed resumes, all of that. And so we went through this staffing agency, and like they go through 3 interviews, they go through a personality test before they even hit me. And so then I know that they're like they want this job by the time they hit me. Yes,
and you can really be particular about the type of person for the role. So for example, I'm sure for you, like me, I have coaches, and then I have people that work on tech, and then I have people that are working kind of back office stuff, and it's like all of those people need to be different people.
Right.
If I'm about a back office person, as a coach, they're not going to grow their portfolio. They're not going to be motivated. They're not going to be self-driven. They're not going to be doing calls and doing all stuff. But at the same time, if I take one of those coaches that has that crazy like maverick mentality and I put them in an office with like just a basic pay, they're going to die there. Like it's just not going to work. So the staffing, the personality test being such a big thing. If you run a business and you are having trouble with losing hires, turnover, you're having trouble with just feeling like you're connecting with people into the right spots, the right dots, the Enneagram test is where I started because you can get free ones for cheap, and obviously free is as cheap as it gets, or you could do some paid ones that aren't that expensive. But I love that. I love that. I know you're getting hot. I can feel it.
Body is trying to get to the door.
Yes, like you're inching as close as you can to it. So obviously I'm going to rip you as many questions as I can, but let's start with not missing out on one of the most important parts of the podcast is how can people reach you? How do I have you do my wedding photo? How do I have you do my proposal photo? How do I have you do art home photo? Do they call art home photo to get the photography?
I would just call art home photo. We have an incredible office staff that knows exactly what to do when you call for different things, because like another area that we've been growing in is headshot photography. And like coming into companies, like we just talked to a company yesterday that wants us to come in and do 170 headshots across 2 of their plants.
It's huge.
So it's something that like I didn't really think about, and now we've done a bunch of, and I'm like, maybe we should, sprinkle a little gasoline on that. So like wedding photography, obviously we're trying to not do more than 15 weddings a year. I think we have 12 on the books so far for this year. So if you're thinking about getting married and you haven't found a photographer, reach out.
Hurry up.
DustinCorinne.com is our wedding portfolio. And if you're a real estate professional, maybe you own Airbnbs, maybe you own an apartment complex, maybe you're just looking to increase your brand awareness with your real estate presence. Yes. That's something we really do a good job at.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm just gonna push you. We're gonna get some more. We're gonna get another question in here because I think these are the good questions. So one of the things you gotta hit on is I went to school for photography engineering, but I was a DJ, and then all of a sudden DJing, I took pictures one day and they liked it, and then I was a photographer, and then I became a wedding photographer, and at one point I was at somewhere and I took photography of a house, and now I'm a house photographer, and then someone said I need headshots, and now we're a headshot photographer, and like you can see how in business it's not always the plan that leads to the success. It's just the doing and the existing in it. For me and my own, I remember at one point being like, Hercules is not going to work out because I couldn't handle any more hours personal training. I was personal training so much, and I'm like, but I wanted more. I didn't know what to do with it. And one day some girl was just talking to me. I said, I just can't take you for personal training. And she said, well, what if I just paid you to do to just do all that same stuff you do for personal training, like your calculations and like the meal plans, all that. Like she's like, I would pay you for that. And I was like, I could get paid for that? Like that's a thing? And then now that's like almost our entire business. And like we've seen that structure shift so many times over the years. My pay structure even changed so much over these little moments. And for you, like it's beautiful to say that. Can you talk on that? How it's like you're where you are now, not necessarily out of lack of work, tons of work, but not necessarily out of a perfect plan. Like someone who's watching as an entrepreneur, what's your recommendation there?
Just be open. Be open to opportunities as they come your way. So like, for example, the headshot story we were talking about earlier, I would never have been able to say yes to that if I was the sole person shooting 25 houses every day.
Yeah.
So I built out a team so that we can still support all those clients and relationships that we built over the last decade. And then now that that's thriving, now those other opportunities that come up, like headshots or maybe a promo video or whatever, I can now say yes to, or at least entertain it, because I have the bandwidth. That, like, I think the deeper root is like building out the team so that you can then do the things that come in that are a little outside the wheelhouse, that you can now like, oh, maybe we could spare an extra couple days this week to do this, and not like throw all our systems and processes off. And so, yeah, that just comes with building a culture and a team that can really support the vision. And then once that's set, then you can start kind of being the CEO that's like, oh, that sounds fun. I'm going to go shoot ice fishermen in Alaska.
Exactly. The visionary aspects where we're all chasing to be. Because honestly, we didn't become the owner for lack of vision.
Right.
Oh, I love it. I love it. How you feeling?
I became the visionary for lack of not wanting to get divorced.
Yes. That's like, I have to hire people.
Yeah, I have
this
to
is
hire
getting
because I
bad.
don't want to lose my wife and children.
It's funny how much that happens in businesses, because I remember going from 70 hours to another 70 hours of coaching and training these people to be workers.
One more question. One more question.
We're getting it. So I'm going to go real simple on you, because I think these rapid fire ones are easy at the end. Yeah. And they're really hard in the brain.
Let's go.
So what's your favorite books? Give me two of them.
Favorite book, Never Split the Difference. Podcast, Ed Milet. Love him. I think if you can listen to him in the morning, like after the gym, before the gym, during the gym, in the shower, really frame your mind up for the world as a place of opportunity, as a place of giving, not a place of taking.
Yes.
It can really help reshape your energy.
I love that.
I love that.
How does art, home photo look, and photography and all these things for your business in general, all of it in 3 years?
3 years. Looks like it's a freaking juggernaut. Looks like we have moved past Fort Wayne and we're in other markets. Shout out to Jordan Wildman. We just had someone reach out yesterday in Pennsylvania that saw his videos, and they're like, how can I have Jordan Wildman quality out here in Pennsylvania? So now we're like trying to figure out that and hiring a photographer out there.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, just kind of expanding past the borders of Allen County and the surrounding area.
What are your personal goals for the next 5 months?
Get in shape. Get back in shape. I was on a really good trajectory to get in shape, and then I kind of, business took a hard turn, and I had to really adapt and give more time than I was previously giving. And yeah.
And now you're going to do it.
And now I'm doing it.
You're going to get lean, mean, fight machine.
At OPS every day, every morning, 6 a.m. See me there.
go buy stuff from him while he's there. He loves that. He loves when you interrupt his workout to buy stuff. I love it. I love it. Am I gonna let you out of here?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's hit the invisible buzzer right here. Wow, he's gonna survive. He's gonna survive. I love it. Well, I appreciate you coming on here.
Appreciate you having me.
We had so much fun, and hope you guys are back for the next episode. If you see any of these videos that are floating around my head right now, go click one of those, because the other podcasts are also good. Yeah, subscribe. What the heck, guys?
Like it.
If you're not subscribed right now, you're just an a-hole. So you watch the whole podcast, you're not subscribed? Oh, beautiful. But we're out. How was it?
I made it. Barely.
It is not easy. Turning up the heat.
275 degrees.
We're gonna try not to die.